Hey, Senator Santorum, on another front, you're a devout Catholic. You've always said that you cannot, will not place it aside in your role in elected public life. In fact, you thought President Kennedy, the first to be elected president, did so a little bit too much with his own religion. Having said that, the Catholic faith has, as a part of it, caring for the poor. 1 in 7 people in this country now qualifies as poor. Where do the poor come in? Where do they place in this party, on this stage, in a Santorum administration?
There is no one in the 12 years I was in the United States Senate that did more to work on poverty issues and working on the poor than Rick Santorum. I was the author, when I was in the House of Representatives, under the tutelage of Newt Gingrich at the time, of the Welfare Reform Act. And we didn't pass welfare reform to cut money. We didn't pass welfare reform to punish anybody. We changed the welfare system because it was punishing people. We had a federal system that was creating a culture of dependency. And we went out and talked to the American public and said, trust us to end this federal entitlement, put a work requirement in place, put a time limit on welfare, give the flexibility to the states with a block grant, and we will transform this system from a dependency system to a transitional system. And it worked. Half the people in this country were dropped off the rolls, and they didn't go into poverty. In fact, poverty went to the lowest level ever in 2001. The rate of black poverty among children, lowest ever recorded. Working women who were never married went to the highest level, increased by 50%. We transformed the welfare system because we believed in the dignity of every human person to be able to provide for themselves. We believed in bottom up, not top down. We need to do the same thing with food stamps. We need to do the same thing with housing programs. All of these other means-tested entitlement programs that are creating a culture of dependency have to be changed, not to save money, but to save people's lives.
Time, Senator. And Governor Perry, a somewhat related question. I'll quote the Pew Research Center. They recently found white households have 20 times the median wealth of black households in the United States. How would you address that question, that problem, as president?
Let me just respond to the last individual where he talked about transitioning this program. Let me tell you what the best thing that we can do in this country for those who need help is to create an economy where people know that they work hard and they can have a job and they can best take care of their family, not government. That's what we need to be doing in this country. And that's true whether you're Hispanic or African American or Asian or Anglo. We need to get focused in this country on creating an environment where the small businessmen and women know that when they risk their capital, they've got an opportunity to have a return on that investment. That is the most matter of fact, John Kennedy said that the most powerful welfare reform program was a job, and that's what we need to get focused on in this country today.
We're going to take some questions that have come into us via Twitter. John?
Thank you. These are questions that came to us. We invited questions to Politico. Thousands came in. One of them, I'll ask you, Governor Romney, referring to Congresswoman Bachmann's promise to get gas, if she becomes president, to down to $2 a gallon. Do you agree that a president realistically can do anything about gas prices in the free market?
Well, what the president can do is make sure that we stop sending about $500 billion a year outside our country, in many cases to nations that are not real friendly with ours, to buy energy from other people. We are an energy-rich nation, and we're living like an energy-poor nation, and that can't go on. So we've got to develop our oil, our gas, our coal resources, our clean coal, our nuclear power, and, of course, our renewable resources as well. If we develop those resources and we use our capacity to generate that energy in a wise way, we can have an impact on global energy prices. Can we get it down to $2? I'm not going to make that prediction, but I can tell you we can become energy secure and we can create jobs right here in the United States by developing our own energy resources. And this president blocking offshore drilling, stopping the capacity to build new coal plants. This president having held up nuclear plants and not developing the Marcellus shale gas and other shale oil around this country. He's just strangling America's economy. It's keeping Americans from working. He keeps talking about green jobs. Where are they? Let's have real jobs. We can have energy jobs. Let's get that done. And if I'm president, I'm making that happen on day one.
Governor, time. Congresswoman Bachmann, why don't we hear from you on that? It's your plan.
Energy is one of the greatest opportunities for job creation that we have in the United States. We just learned today that if the federal government would pull back on all of the regulatory restrictions on American energy production, we could see 1.2 million jobs created in the United States. We could also see created over 50% more American energy production, and we could also see $800 billion more revenue coming into the United States government. Don't forget, the day that President Obama took office, gasoline was $1.79 a gallon. It's entirely possible for us to get back to inexpensive energy. The problem is energy is too high. Let's have a goal of bringing it down, because every time gasoline increases 10 cents a gallon, that's $14 billion in economic activity that every American has taken out of their pockets. This is a great solution, and this is the place to start with American job creation.
John. Governor Huntsman, everybody would like $2 gas, but is it realistic for a president to promise that?
Of course not. We live in the free market economy. I'm not sure that dictating prices is going to get you anywhere. But let's face the reality of where we are. This is a perfect example of where presidential leadership matters. To have a president who would actually walk out from behind the teleprompter, get out of the way, speak from your heart and soul. Just tell us about where you want this country to go in terms of what we have in such great abundance. Tell us where we think we can find that which we have and convert it into jobs and expanding our industrial base, and reminding the American people that they're not paying $4 per gallon for gas. When you add up the cost of troop deployments, when you add up the cost of keeping the sea lanes open for the importation of imported oil, the bulking, distribution, and terminaling costs, it's $13 a gallon, so says the Milken Institute. And I say the American people have had enough. We need a president who's going to provide a little bit of leadership in giving us some direction and opening up the opportunities.
We don't. Thank you. Congressman Paul, another question from a Politico reader. Do you advocate getting rid of the minimum wage? Would that create more jobs?
Absolutely, and it would help the poor, the people who need a job. The minimum wage is a mandate. We're against mandates, so why should we have it? No, it would be very beneficial. But I was trying to get your attention a little while ago. There's 8 of us up here. I'm a physician, but you sure weren't going to ask me any medical questions. But I would like to address that just a little bit. First off, you know, the governor of Texas criticized the governor of Massachusetts for Romney Care, but he wrote a really fancy letter supporting Hillary Care, so we probably ought to ask him about that. But mandates, that's what the whole society is about. That's what we do all the time. That's what government does. Mandate, mandate, mandate. And what we talk so much about the Obama mandate, which is very important, but what about Medicare? Isn't that a mandate? Everything we do is a mandate. So this is why you have to look at this at the cause of liberty. We don't need the government running our lives. And I do want to address the subject of $2 oil or gasoline, because I can do much better than that. I can get you a gallon of gasoline for $0.10.
Thank you, Congressman.
Well, now I got to finish the sentence. You didn't give me time before. I can
These
get
are
you
rules that all of you agreed to that Brian and I will try.
Let's hear that, yeah.
Finish the sentence or you're all done.
Okay, I'm going to finish the sentence then.
Please.
Okay, you can buy a gallon of gasoline today for a silver dime. A silver dime is worth $3.50. It's all about inflation and too many regulations.
Now, Governor Perry, I saw you nod your head.
John.
I saw you nod your head, Governor Perry, at the answer on the minimum wage that would create jobs. Do you agree with that?
I actually was nodding my head when he said that I wrote a letter to Hillary, and we were hoping that she would be able to come up with something that would not leave the agricultural men and women, because I was the agriculture commissioner at that particular point in time. We had no idea it was going to be the monstrosity that's known as Hillary Care. Speaking of letters, I was more interested in the one that you wrote to Ronald Reagan back and said, I'm going to quit the party because of the things you believe in.
Oh, I need an answer on that. It had...
You've got a 30-second rebuttal
time.
I strongly supported Ronald Reagan. I was one of 4 in Texas, one of 4 members of Congress that supported Reagan in '76, and I supported him all along, and I supported all his issues and all his programs. But in the 1980s, we spent too much, we taxed too much, we built up our deficits, and it was a bad scene. Therefore, I support the message of Ronald Reagan. The message was great, but the consequence, we have to be honest with ourselves. It was not all that great. Huge deficits during the 1980s, and that is what my criticism was for. Not for Ronald Reagan's message. His message is a great message.
Funny thing about the mail, kind of tends to live on forever. To all of you, thank you. We're going to hold in place, take a quick break. Our coverage of the debate from the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library in Simi Valley, California will continue right after this.